Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Gary Buechler, and I am live in San Francisco, California. I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and down in San Diego is my co-host and good friend, as always, Dennis Bithoulkas. What is up, Dennis?
Not much. How about you? How are things going?
Things are going good. We're here covering the great Expanse, possibly the best sci-fi show on TV in the last, 10, 20 years. I don't know if it keeps going this well. Maybe the best one ever. Some people say that already. Not quite sure on that yet, but I love this show. And this is season 3, episode 2. IFF is the name of the episode, which has something to do with a Martian signal, which we will get to. Dude, good episode tonight, man. This thing has it hit the ground running last week, and it's just been kind of all action and chasing. And we got to see an old bad guy come back tonight. We get a new character who's actually from the books. I want to get this out of the way. We spoil the show. I will try very hard not to spoil the books. If I say anything book-wise, it'll be in relation to tonight's show. Now, some people might still consider that spoiler, so I won't get into plot points. I'll just tell like how a character's different, if they are at all. But I duly noted the message I got from last week that I got a little excited. So, that's how it goes. And yes. And as always, we are live right after the show. Next week, I want to say this right off the bat, we're probably going to be on a little earlier. All right. We're going to start. Hey.
Dakota Stanton, thank you. $10. She says, bad news. I watch in Amazon, so I'm going to watch this tomorrow. Good news, I'll be with Krypton tonight and joined your Patreon like an hour ago.
Oh, wow. Cool. Thank you, Dakota.
Thank you. Greatly
appreciated. Check out and then come back when this turns into a video, and that is totally cool. What's up, Man of Action? Sorry, we're a little early tonight just because, so we're going to push this one up to 8:30 Pacific time starting next week from here on out, because I'm going to be able to get home from work a little bit earlier. So kind of worked it out. Let's get into the episode, Dennis. What'd you think overall?
It was pretty good. I mean, there's a lot going on in this. They kind of brought May back into this as it started off, with May waking up in the cryo tube. And help me out with the doctor's name again, because
Dr. Strickland.
Dr. Strickland, thank you, because that was one thing I couldn't remember from last season. And IMDb, of course, is now really bad, so it's kind of hard to actually find names now. Dr. Strickland is still experimenting on these kids, and we find out why he's experimenting on these kids, what's so special about them. And we also have Jules Pierre Mao shows up on Io. So now we realize that they are actually on Io. That's where the research station is. And that's where our crew of the Coronata is going to. So that's not too cool. I mean, they don't realize that it's actually occupied at the moment.
Jonathan Brown says, "Man, I'm tired. I don't know where you are. We're on West Coast time here. So, I'm going to call it the Rocinante. From I can't do that new name, especially since they did the full one and it did say that it said the Penis Coronata or something like that. That was our back joke from last week. Was the race?
Oh, you mean the Penis Racer?
The Penis Racer, penis? Yes, the racing penis. So Jules Pierre Mao makes his triumphant return, which was a little hard for me because the last time I saw the guy, he was in The Tick. Playing Arthur's stepfather, which was
Walter.
Funny. Yes, yeah. Walter. Yeah. No, he's a great actor. He's really good. And this is where, we got May coming up. We get a little flashback. So Prax is having these kind of nightmares about May, which is totally understandable. We also have Christian and Bobby in the debris field. So last week's episode ended abruptly with them escaping in Julie Mao's racing ship. And there's no guns in it. It only holds 2 people. So Katya and that engineer from the other ship had to take that tea kettle, which was just a drop ship. And we don't know what happened to them. We don't know if they lived or if they died. But they have to start running because Bobby and Christian are in they think it's the missiles can get to them, so they have to get out of the range of the missiles.
Alexander says contorta. Yes, thank you for the
that's why I'm going to say Rocinante. Thank you. Contorta. It's like what, the pine trees or something like that.
Yeah, pine trees that can grow in space. And I noticed also that Christian dropped another F-bomb, but they kind of whited it out with hell, I think it was, because she turns to Bobby, because Bobby's like, I'm sorry for Cotier, and she goes, did you kill him? And Bobby's like, no. Then fuck your sorries is what she says.
Yes.
Kind of bleeped it out, then the hell with your sorries.
That must have been yours, because I got the F word. I got the F bomb on mine.
Really?
But, yes, okay. I did. I got the full on F bomb. Gotta say right off the bat, though, and now that I've unplugged, like, these commercials are getting so annoying. So if TV wants to survive, I know this sounds crazy, but you got to really work out this commercial thing. Like, you got to get rid of it. It's especially when you're cutting into a commercial right in the middle of a chase. It's really annoying, really annoying. But no, Christian Avasarala is the best character in the show. She eats up scenes, and it's, she's just as good as she is in the book. She drops more F-bombs in the book, but she's just as good. So they captured that character perfectly. So so they're running from the missiles. They're in it's called a hammer lock. So you're in the zone of getting the missiles. So they have to run the missiles. They're doing a high G burn, which Bobby has no problem with. Although she mentioned she's a crap pilot, like pilots take her to kill things, which was a good quote.
Mm-hmm.
But she can do 4G in her sleep or something like that. Is that what she said?
She could do it all. She could basically do it all day long.
So, but they think to have send out an encrypted message that her suit can send, because they can't send one through the ship. But only Martians can detect this IFF message. And isn't it convenient that we know some people who are riding around in a Martian ship right now who could possibly receive that message? But she decided to leave out the names, which was pretty smart. So and Christian is possibly stroking out on us. She's not used to the high G burns, and she's having a hard time breathing. And quite frankly, I don't know if that's just her voice, the actress's voice. I'm assuming she might smoke a couple of smokes, maybe used to smoke, used to be a smoker. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Just a bit. I'm pretty sure she is a heavy smoker.
Yeah, so it's hard to understand her sometimes anyway, but they've got the wheezing going on. Then we're back on the Rocinante, which is not named the Rocinante, and Prax and Amos and Holden are talking about going to IO, and they get the and they also mentioned that Ceres Station is under Martian control, which is kind of a big deal. Yeah, because it was controlled by Earth. But they always knew that, like, if something went down, they would lose it to Mars. It was run by a private Earth company, but Mars has taken control of Ceres Station. That was kind of something they dropped that I think is kind of important that you should know. So they send out the signal, and Alex, he wants to go help them, and this really makes you think of the first episode of the first season when they answered a distress call, and Holden's all, nope, we're going to save May. I screwed this guy over once. But Alex is eminent. He's like, oh, when it comes to Martians, you're just going to forget us now? Like, what's up with that?
You're going to play by the rules is what he says. He goes, Naomi's, doesn't play by the rules. Then you don't play by the rules. And suddenly when the Martians are, involved, you want to play by the rules. And so him and Naomi vote for going to save them. And of course, Amos is going to follow wherever the captain says to go, which is Holden. And so it's 2 against 2.
And you have noticed now the full transition is happening. Amos always needs a guide. He needs a moral guide. He's said as much, and it was always Naomi, but now it's Holden. He's given up on Naomi. So he's going to go wherever. And it's interesting. We have these 3 factions on the Rocinante, not counting Prax. He's kind of a belter too. But we got Naomi the Belter, Alex the Martian, Holden the Earther, but he's never been super loyal to Earth. He's more of a independent guy.
And speaking of Earth, we end up going down to Earth and meeting a new character.
Yes, and I'm gonna try. Okay, so I've heard Jefferson May, the reader of this book, say this name a million times. I'm gonna try it. Okay, Anna Volodov. I see. I did it perfectly right before the show. Is Volodov. Volavadov. That's it.
Balafadov.
Volafadov. And I'm never gonna say that again.
Anna.
Anna is her name.
Anna V.
A character who is in the third book. And she is a priest. She's basically a space hippie, and she knows.
I remember that episode of Star Trek.
Yes, yeah. Which episode of Star Trek?
I'm talking about the original.
The space hippies. Yes. Oh, they're just like hippies. So yeah, she's at a protest. She gets whacked in the head that was so rude by a UN official. And she helps the guy, and it, kind of gives us a little characterization that she's kind of a badass, this isn't her first protest. And she was there at the request of our Secretary General.
Secretary General Gillis.
Yep. Gillis, Esteban Gillis. And not too many, only Anna and Christian call him Esteban, by the way.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, because they're not going to say this in the show, in the books, he's famous because he wrote some bad poetry and got arrested for it, and that's how he got voted into office. And basically, Aaron Wright and Christian run the UN, so he's just a figurehead.
Yeah, and. So yeah, so basically, Gillis has basically called her there to help him write his speech because he needs to make it sound pious, I guess you could say, more than anything else. It needs to have the word of God into it so that he can get the masses behind him. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. No, not going to do it. And he says, what it'll take? What will it take? And she goes, well, I just opened up a clinic and we're having to barter with the drug dealers there for medicine. And because the medicine's too expensive. If you fund the medication for a year to my clinic, then I'll do it. And I like a true politician, he goes, oh yeah, I'm sure we can funnel some funds over to that. That's not a problem.
Yeah. Well, some Senate bill. Yeah. Whatever. That hits a little close to home, but hey, that's good. If it helps him, that's great. In the meantime, Aaron Wright runs off into the office real quick and looks at his communications device. And there's just a quick message there saying loose end being taken care of now, which is the UN ship pursuing Christian and Bobby.
Yeah.
And that whole capture thing is out the window, and he's just trying to kill Christian, which is really weird because in the show you could tell they were close, but in the show you always got kind of a bad vibe off of Aaron Wright, and it really wasn't like that in the books. You thought he was a politician, at least I did anyway. And what he did is, they get more in his head, like it's more justified. He is kind of a warmonger. He's more thinking practically, like, listen, Mars is going to completely take us over at some point because Earth's resources are just draining the military. So there's just no way they could keep up with Mars, who's just on this singular mission. And that's what they're paranoid about. Although that's not what Mars is about at all. Actually, Mars could give a crap about Earth. Mars just wants to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Actually, if you want to think of a faction that might be there's no real good guys or bad guys. There's good guys in all of them. It would probably be the Martians. I don't know. The Belters are cool too, but there's some really bad Belters as well. But Earth is kind of the bad guys. I mean, if you want to look at it as the bad guys.
Yeah, they're the oppressors, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, yeah, basically, what was this here? Naomi discovers that the ship that Bobby and Christian are in belongs to Julie Mao.
Registered to Julie Mao.
Yeah. And they're like, we need to help them. And even with that information, Holden's still like, nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it. And of course, they end up doing it because Prax is the final vote and says, yeah, let's do it. And they're getting shot at with missiles, and Bobby's trying to, evade this stuff, but she can't because Christian just keeps passing out. And, she's saying it sounds like, it feels like you're stepping on my chest, is what she says this entire time. And she really can't take too much more of it. So that's the reason why they keep slowing down. Otherwise, they could probably outrun that UN ship with Bobby if it was just Bobby by herself. So the corn torta, there we go. I just gotta say with tortillas, contorta. The ship actually fires their missiles out and protects them, and starts fighting back against the UN ship. And they have a little plan in order to get that to protect Bobby and Christian's ship. And they do this really because they're outgunned, they're outmanned, and they basically swing around and just shear off the engines off the UN ship.
Yeah, and while they're doing that, Prax and Amos are kind of locked in, and Prax didn't lock the tools, so the tools open up and they start flying around the room, and they knock off Prax's oxygen thing, so Amos has to get unbuckled. And this was the coolest scene. We got tools flying around, like at every time there's a hard turn from the ship when they start firing the rounds at the UN ship, like all the tools go flying around. And there's this one great scene where Amos goes and finally hooks up his oxygen, and a drill just misses Prax's head by like a freaking quarter inch or something. Amos just grabs it out of the air. But that scene, my wife was like, "How did they do that? That was cool." That was the effects and the action tonight were exceptional. They were so freaking good. Amos was badass.
Yeah.
But that whole scene when they first did the explosion to kind of throw off the UN ship, and then the missiles were pacing the racing ship, that was awesome. That was so cool, man. That's why this is probably the best sci-fi show on TV. It's got everything we need in it. Star Trek Discovery fans, come on over. You're welcome. You're welcome to come and watch this show. Tell us what you think.
So we see Jules on Io with Dr. Strickland, and he gets Sadavar's message, but he wants the weapon now. And Jules basically sends out a message. She goes, "You know what? When you unfreeze my assets and you free my family, then we'll talk about it. Until then, fuck off."
Yep.
Is what he says. And he's also asking Dr. Strickland, he goes, "Well, basically, we can't control this thing. We can't control the protomolecule. Just destroy everything." And Strickland's like, no, wait a minute. I've got a plan here. These children, they have a certain disease that's only found on Ganymede. And I can actually control the protomolecule, supposedly, using their malady.
Yeah, it's some kind of bone density disease. And it's got something to do with the gravity and something else. I can't remember. They explain it in the book. But I love when Mao gets off the phone or he's not off the phone. He's like reading the message that we saw last season. He just says, "Piece of shit." Yeah. That was so funny. That whole scene was different from the book, but they took everything from the book and put it into a scene. So they changed it and then corrected, and it was kind of cool. It was kind of well done. I don't know how, how, if people are just really set in their ways with the book, they might be upset with Mao's take on it because it's a little different, but it's not much different. It humanized him a little more. He's not as nice. Not that he's nice in the show, but he's a little meaner in the book. I'll just say that.
Yeah. And then we have an interesting scene with Anna, Gillis, and Sadavar having dinner. And the whole talk about, well, if we can't find Jules, we'll just basically take his family and we'll basically make them pay for it. And Anna's like, whoa. You can't do that. It's against the law. Maybe read your history a little bit. You can't visit the sins of, the father on the sons or on the rest of the family. That's illegal. That's a war crime.
Hasn't there been a whole testament since then?
Yeah, exactly.
That was good. That was a good line. Yeah. So that's in the span of like 5 to 7 minutes. They mention Mao's family twice Remember that. Just remember that, folks.
Yeah,
They're
and
setting something up there. That's pretty cool.
and of course, Sadavar plays. I was like, oh, I was just kidding. I was never really going to do anything like that.
No.
I'm a nice guy.
Yes. Twirl the mustache.
Exactly. So we see that the crew of the corn torta. I keep saying it that way. They're cleaning up the mess because the entire garden that they were actually trying to create there has just been obliterated by all the tools that were flying around, and they're docking with the racer ship. And Christian had been bleeding from the nose that we saw, and that's when they pull up and they open up the door, and Bobby's got Christian. She's floating there, and she goes, "Can you help us?" And Christian is basically stroked out at this point.
Yeah. And well, another very important thing was we got to see May talking to Kotya. And Kotya is actually a character from the book. And they're sitting there talking. So as they're cutting between Mao and Strickland talking about the protomolecule hybrid, and what you just said before is this immunity they have, this bone density disease they think it will shut down the protomolecule. Because what the protomolecule does is it adapts. Okay. So what it's been doing is that they would inject it into their little blue soldier thing that they had earlier, but the thing would go off the rails. They couldn't control it anymore. So that's why they put the incendiary device in there that it threw at, I think at Holden at one point. No, threw out of the ship. It threw it out of the ship. And, so that's why they're using these kids, which is completely screwed up. And those must be some very loyal employees in there. I'm wondering if those are more of those engineered sociopaths. I wasn't totally getting that vibe, but it has to be. Strickland seems like he's doing this more out of necessity. Like if he doesn't pull this off, he might just end up, spaced somewhere. So that's probably his motivation.
Well, isn't he wanted right now too, Strickland?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
very much. Well, yeah, I don't know.
I think they mentioned it last season that he was
Mao. He definitely knows way too much for Mao to keep him around. I'm just assuming that. And space is a big place to disappear. So I'm thinking that's his motivation, because like working on kids, that's messed up. But if he thinks it's experimental work, so Kotya's talking to May, and he explains that, hey, he's just Dr. Strickland's keeping us safe. He says he's going to get us to his parents. Plus, he's going to cure us. And let me show you something. And he pulls up his arm, and his arm's all glowy and blue. So yeah, protomolecule children hybrids. Pretty messed up. Poor little May. And we ended. It was a great ending. And Holden's was looking all shocked because he's seen Christian before. They've actually talked over communication, so he knows who that is. And things are going to get real sideways from here. I'll just say that this is the first 2 or 3 episodes, as great as they are, set up for something pretty fun, I think.
Well, didn't Christian talk to his? Yeah, she talked to his family on behalf of him.
Yeah, and he's seen her before.
Yeah,
he's seen her before, so he knows who she is. And she knows who he is. So,
it's gonna be very interesting.
And I'm really liking the character of Bobby. They've really captured her. I wasn't too sure last season. I mean, I liked her, but I really like her now. She is Bobby. They've done such a good job casting her. So, and we've just seen the beginning of Bobby. And I don't know if they're going to go into kind of her background. She's got her own demons to deal with a little bit. So, and I love how Amos had to talk with Prax too. Like Prax,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, why he decided to go and save Bobby wasn't really about saving Bobby at all. Maybe he's on a death wish, and Amos gave him a little talking to, going like who does May have if you're gone? Like every kid has to have somebody. And
and he basically tells him, he goes, why are you taking all these chances? If there's a possibility that May is still out there, you should be focused on May until you find a definitive that she's dead. Then you can go on your death wish if you want to.
Yeah. I can't say anything else other than that. That was a great that and then my wife noticed that Amos is a little bigger this year than he was doing his push-ups, which I don't know. That's definitely a wife statement. Hello, everybody in the chat. This is the time we get to the chat.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen and nerds.
I was
all
going to say,
around.
so Alexandra M. Night Shyamalan is who they're talking about. So, God, what was it? I See Dead People. What was that movie now?
The Sixth Sense.
Thank you. The Sixth Sense. That kind of thing. That's who they're talking about down there. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. And Alexandra said the scene with the tools was cool but completely unnecessary, much like Bobby's spacewalk last episode.
Yes, that. Yeah, I didn't catch that. Say that again.
She said
you could respond to these comments too.
Yeah, I know. She said that scene with the tools was cool but completely unnecessary, much like Bobby's spacewalk last episode.
Yeah, but sometimes you need unnecessary action. But yeah, that was thrown in. You could definitely tell that was thrown into like, we need some Amos action, and here you go.
Well, also, I mean, you need some action in between, not just having the ship slam around in space in the middle there. It's kind of boring just watching them fly and trying to evade things. You need a little bit of action on the inside as well.
Well, and also it's them trying to be a little sciencey too with gravity. I mean, it was a gratuitous Amos action scene. That's what it was. But they do that throughout the book too. So that's not entirely unusual, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Action Amos.
Action Amos. It was a lot like, what Mulder was doing all season in X-Files, killing 16 guys and
unexpected. That was action figure Mulder.
Yeah.
Where that came from. Apple Crow says, I have a headache from someone pulling up next to me with weaponized base levels. When he's talking about Avrasala having the the stroke from all the 0G or the 4G.
Nice base levels. That's funny. I love how she was like halfway through a quip and then she's like, what am I supposed to do with my legs again? That was good.
I also like the whole thing about like, she goes, I think I'm getting used to it. And Bobby says, I brought it down to 1G. Oh shit. Yeah, that was actually really good. Then she realized, oh shit, like I'm actually stroking out here.
And Man of Action started out our with boobies. That's how every chat should start out, I guess. That goes way back. I think that even goes from another live stream on another channel, Man of Action, to be honest with you. But I took part in it. Welcome everybody. Ed Brewer's there, Man of Action. Alexandra's still here. Yeah, no Penn Farm Girl tonight. Yeah, because we're on kind of late. That's why we're gonna hopefully things will work out to maybe we can do this at like a whole hour earlier. That would be my hope. So Jody, maybe I think Jody has to work too. So
yes. Sorry, they're talking back and forth about Viking Bitch and Penn Farm Girl not being there.
Yeah, that's too bad. But we can continue talking about so we did get a bit of a spoiler in the scenes. I don't know if everybody saw the scenes, but we were wondering about our friend Kochia. My wife was actually very worried about him.
Sorry, Apple Crow says Dennis explained how everyone needs a little action. I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh God, yes. Yeah. Man, there's some low hanging fruit that I'm not going to pick
really
right there.
Hanging fruit.
Not going to pick that because I don't. Not tonight. I'm not going to say I don't pick low hanging fruit because that would be a lie. Yeah. So we have the scenes next week kind of gave something away a little bit, and which is fine because we like that character, and I didn't think anything was going to happen to him anyway, or they would have showed him die. That's this thing is this show and these books are very clear on death. They don't mess around. When somebody's going to die, they're going to die, and that's the cool thing about the books, and I think the show will continue it, is not everybody's safe. I'm not saying something's going to happen, but it's a lot like Game of Thrones.
I'm not going to say it's aliens, but it's aliens.
It's aliens.
Gary and Dennis, Jody says, Gary and Dennis, will you guys be reviewing Krypton tonight? I will not be, but Gary will be.
I will be.
And it's going to be new kind of review.
Yes, it's going to be shirtless. No, I'm just kidding.
No one wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that. Yes, we will be reviewing Krypton tonight. I'm going to, you know, I know, Ed, I promised you we wouldn't do it, but here's what we're going to do for you, Ed. And this is just for Ed Brewer, because he kind of said, hey, you know, I want to catch up on the show. Could you guys like just wait? So when Dennis and I do the season finale of Krypton, we're going to go over like the whole season. So if you guys like if you don't want to keep up every week, the finale episode, and that's what we do on every finale, by the way. If you miss the show or anything, but then you get caught up later, we go over the entire season on the finale. That's why they tend to be a little longer than our normal longer. So if that makes any sense.
Jody says, also, Gary and Dennis, do you feel that The Expanse this season has safely avoided the pitfalls of the third season that the other shows fall into? What do you mean exactly, Jody?
Jody, third seasons can be tough. Jody, I think that happens with second seasons a lot.
Yeah.
But what I think he's talking about is like third seasons get tropey. Okay. They do. Yes. So far, we're only 2 episodes in. There is some great potential for it because, without spoiling it, the third book is not the strongest book, but there's some great elements. Think of the third book kind of like Jedi, and I mean Jedi, not the Last Jedi. Now you got to be specific about Jedis. Return of the Jedi, which was half of a great movie, and then the other half of it was kind of that's how the book is. So there's some kick-ass scenes in it, but what the writers do is they bring in these new characters like Anna, and they kind of become your main character, and the crew of the Rocinante becomes a character in themselves. Okay, so they focus on all 5 of them. They'll always focus on Holden, but the rest of the crew are kind of put to the wayside a little bit too much, in my opinion. Like, there's not enough Naomi in the books, in my opinion, and not enough Amos. So that could happen this season. We got to see how it plays out. But the writers for this show are way too clever. One of them, I'm forgetting their names, and I'll have it next episode, but one of them's an old DS9 writer, and he's brilliant, like really should have been running Star Trek, but I'm glad he's doing this instead.
There's Hallie Lambert and Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby.
I'd have to see him. I've seen him in a bunch of interviews. He's looks like he's from Indian descent, Pakistani, maybe. I'm not sure which, but and then there's like a white guy who looks like you're like a really old IT guy who was like a good IT guy back in like 98 and just kind of hung on too long. That's what the other writer looks like. Both very talented guys.
Alexander Sandu says, I know that IMDb is not known for reliability, but they had him listed only for episode 1 while others were listed for the rest of the seasons. I think she was talking about somebody else here. And Sandu, no, sorry, that's their last name there. I don't know who they were talking about there.
Maybe Kotya. He's
Kotya, yeah.
They showed him in the scenes, so
yeah.
He's going to come back. But so who mentioned it last week that I don't know, Richard Harris's kid, the guy who plays oh my God, why am I freaking blanking on his name now?
Richard Harris's kid.
He plays oh my God, I'm getting old. This is terrible. One of the leader of the OPA, the other leader of the OPA that's not Fred Johnson. Dawes. Thank you, Dawes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alexandra. He's not going to be in the season. That was a bummer. Now he's not in the books that much, so it's not a big deal, but it's weird that they showed a communication to him and Fred Johnson talking to him. So it makes me wonder, Alexandra, if like Fred Johnson's not going to be in the season very much because he's busy shooting the Orville, right? So he's doing something else too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, Dakota. See you at the Krypton podcast.
See you, Dakota.
Thank you again. You're wonderful.
Jody says and laughs, will you be cosplaying Seg or something, Gary? What do you mean by new kind of review?
Oh, you'll find out. I like to keep it a surprise because I honestly don't know if I can keep with it. So,
And Apple Crow says he means the third book has Ewoks.
That's it.
Mm.
It has Ewoks, proto-molecule Ewoks.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
God damn it. Little blue Ewoks. They're cute,
but deadly.
Indestructible, but deadly.
They're cute, but wait a minute. Didn't we had those in Legends of Tomorrow? We had a little furry blue thing. Anyway, Bebo was his name. Jody says, Gary and Dennis, usually by the third season, some shows suffer from bad writing or fall into using formulaic tropes.
Or sometimes they lose their creator.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean like Ash versus Evil Dead? Yes. Yes, that is for sure. It seems a lot of late that happens a lot.
Yeah.
So we need to be really grateful that The Expanse and Westworld and Legion are two shows that kept their creators for more than a season. It seems like, they've tried to shorten it up. We got 10 episode seasons so we can get like better cast members and better crew members and better creators. And it seems like with these shows, the most we have creative differences and, or maybe it's just Brian Fuller and Frank Darabont. I don't know.
For the most part.
Brian Fuller and Frank Darabont should make a show together. It'd probably be brilliant. It'd probably be the most brilliant one season show ever.
Half a season.
They would kill each other actually, if they just did a reality show of those two in a room trying to write a show, that'd probably be just as entertaining, to be honest with you.
Apple Crow. I was just going to say, Apple Crow said, did you hear that Spock will show up in season 2 of STD? And
I threw up a little bit in my mouth.
It's actually not going to be the Spock that you think it's going to be. It's actually going to be flashbacks in what's her name's life.
So it's going to be like Kitty Spock.
Spock. It's
or
going to be
adolescent Spock.
Yeah. We're not going to have...
that makes... that is a video for another day. I think maybe Doomcock and I should change our conversation to... Yeah, that's a game changer right there. Doomcock news, hopefully coming soon. We had... it's a little tough to schedule. We're both of us do a lot of videos now. So it's kind of tough. And this damn job is getting in the way. Yeah. So that was horrible news. It really threw me off my game. Okay, so we could put an end to this one.
I just want to say one thing. Apple Crow says, I think the neurotic t-shirt should say creative differences.
I love that idea. On Monday we talked about, it's one saying I am nerd. We can do two. I will tell you right now that if you are a patron, your shirts will be free. Well, I mean, with your patronage, of course, you will be getting a shirt, and we're hoping to have some by Comic-Con. Dennis and I are going to do some fun stuff at Comic-Con. Maybe we'll get arrested. We haven't done that yet.
I'm getting in trouble to be arrested.
We can wait till Sunday. I mean, there's nothing really going on Sunday anyway. But we got to like slap somebody famous or something.
Oh, God.
If Tom Cruise is running around the floor again.
George Lucas, kick him in the ass this time around.
I've got nothing. If Ryan Johnson is running around, I might just smack him in the back of the head, just lightly. What were you thinking?
The variant t-shirt, yes. Every 10th t-shirt will be a variant t-shirt.
Yes. We'll do a blank variant.
Of course, you have to buy 100 patrons for that one.
Yes, or white blank variant. Yeah. Gary, will Doomcock be able to do the Friday night podcast? He said that's tough for him. We're shooting for like a Thursday or something like that. I'm taking a day off of work to talk to him. So But what about progress, not perfection? Well, AA owns that one. People of Earth, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out's good. That one's good. That one we can roll with.
I like the Children of Earth.
Or Children of Earth, whatever. See, that's Dennis. He's always got to correct the semantics.
No, the People of Earth one's not bad. It's just I was toying back and forth with People of Earth and Children of Earth, and Children of Earth. I was talking to Johnny Pappas about that one. And yes, he agreed with me on that one. The Children of Earth's a little bit better.
Children of Earth's better.
Yeah.
A little more condescending.
Yes, exactly.
Just kidding. All right.
I like to
children.
talk down to my people.
All right, children. We're going to wrap this one up so I can watch Krypton and get going on this one. But thank you for joining us as always.
Yes.
Our thank you for watching Legion. After our second video, I found out something. I'll share it with y'all out here. Whatever. I found out something interesting today about YouTube, that if you put in a title wrong, and even if you correct it and you put the video up, it's in the metadata keeps the old title and it screws it up. Yeah, so you got to pull the whole thing up and restart it. So that was cool. So that's why, our Legion, our third one's doing better than our second one, because I screwed up on the title. But thanks to Johnny Pappas, I wouldn't even have caught it. So you guys are looking out for us, man. We really appreciate that stuff. And we always appreciate you in the chat. You make this show. So let's go ahead and thank everybody. Dennis, why don't you thank everybody while I look up the patrons?
All right. Thanks, Jody, Apple Crow, Ed Brewer, excuse me, Alexander Sandow, Dakota Stanton. Big thank you to you for the super chat as well. And I believe that was all that we had here. Oh, and Jonathan Brown. Jonathan Brown showed up, but was very tired and had to go. Man of Action also was here earlier, and Speedster was here at the very beginning.
Nice.
Looking at the confused look on their face.
I would like to thank our patrons, including our newest patron, Dakota Stanton, and Penn Farm Girl, Apple Crow, Christian Echo 9, Shakuri Lama, Eric, Richard Seth Jones, Viking Bitch, Feisty Fan, Lawrence Howe, Isaiah Norton, Fan on Ruff, Johnny Pappas, JD Gallo, Brian Smart, and Arturo Espinoza. Thank you so much for your loyal patronage. It really helps. It goes towards the show. We haven't really spent any of the money yet, but when we do, we'll tell you what it was for.
Yep.
Probably for Dennis's drug habit or his rehab. We're not sure.
It's my drinking. Come on, get it right.
Betty Ford Center. Betty Ford Center. I've been there. I've been there. I got a mug.
That's what we should have.
Got a mug to prove it. There it is. Right.
That'll be our T-shirt. It's the Betty Ford Center. I've been there.
I've been there.
And all I got was this T-shirt.
All I got was this T-shirt. Oh, what's up, Man of Action? So yeah, I'll be back up in an hour, folks. And if you are night owls, let's hang out together. So Dennis, take us out, man.
Children of Earth, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, especially when you're pulling 4 Gs in a racer and stroking out in the back seat behind Bobby.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you again, Dakota, for the super chat. That was wonderful. Or was it Alexandra?
Yes. That was Dakota.
Dakota. I'm sorry. I'm going to say Dakota again. I get it mixed up, but you're all wonderful. So good night.
Good night, everyone.